watches everywhere. It's just
we are live.
incredible. We're live. God.
We're live.
Four, three, two, one, space.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Dub Dub 23 episode of the Nerd Ensemble. I'm one of your co-hosts, Don Kovac, and my other more awesomer co-host is Mr. Dub Dub Dee Deemer. How are you, Dub Dub?
It sounds funnier when you say it than I even intended for it to be. I'm great, Don. Doing fabulous.
We're doing the
here
pre-show
tonight.
in the show.
Yes, doing the pre-show in the show.
That's right.
The
We're
show.
doing pre-show, but in the show. We're in the show. We are live in the show.
But now we're doing
also
it for
doing
actual
pre-show in the
real
show.
people who are out there. Yes, that's okay.
This is true.
Love it.
That's why they tune in. So welcome back, everybody. It's been a minute since we've recorded. We realized at some point that this school year was the first year we'd had of a normal school year in 4 years. So we are very much still recovering, or at least I can speak for myself, and I'm sure Brett, you're probably feeling some of that too. Yeah. I figure we're gonna finish recovering sometime about mid-August. Would you say somewhere around there?
Oh gosh, just in time for us to start it all over again.
Just in time
But
for
again,
the madness
that's okay.
too.
That's okay.
That's okay. That's why we do what we do. At any rate, so we are here today. We had originally had a plan to live stream the WWDC 2023 keynote and kind of have a live reaction situation. And then life happened. So we're here on the evening of discussing. We're going to go over everything that was talked about today, or at least I should say we're going to talk about the things that were most interesting to us from today's event. And oh my God, man, there was a lot. There was so much.
It felt like it went by really fast too. I think that speaks to the quantity of stuff that they introduced.
100%. And what you all are seeing there on our screen, this is my freeform board. I have been using and enjoying freeform on my own for a little while. Actually, I've been using it about 4 or 5 months to do some like weekly planning stuff for myself and whatnot. And this is our first time using the collaboration features. What you're other than my horribly messy handwriting, what you're not going to see is I'm currently running the iOS beta on my iPhone, and I'm running the iPad OS beta on this 11-inch iPad Pro here, and I was testing out the new calligraphy pen feature, which looks a lot better in iOS 17, but it's not there. So, it is what it is. But we're going to go clockwise here in my little mind map, and we're going to start out with iOS. Actually, you know what? No. Let's do this in the order of the keynote, because why not? The keynote started off big and bad and with hardware. And you'll see there, I mentioned Brett's toy, because Brett, you did a thing today.
I did do a thing today. I was quick on the trigger, as they say.
That's good. Are you ready? Or are you still doing all the things?
Yes, I'm doing so many things, and I'm trying to make it. Oh, that's what happens when you minimize on StreamYard.
That's okay.
Yes. I'm
We're
finding out new
learning.
things, new features, all kinds of things.
We also did, on that point, while you're finishing doing the things, we also did realize that we can, in fact, start to use continuity camera instead of the not so lovely studio display cameras. So in a future episode, perhaps we'll start using that. We'll need to buy the display Belkin thingy that sits on top of the display. I have the one that sits on top of the laptop, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't sit on top of the display.
Yeah, I'm
So
interested in that now.
yeah, we'll
I kind of thought it was gimmicky and a little bit of a strange solution to their camera problem, but um,
it it is not an elegant solution,
no.
but it is a solution.
Did you?
So
They
we'll
doubled
look at
down
it.
on that solution at one point today with another product. We'll talk about that too.
Just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. So the keynote began on time, as it always does, with diving right into not one, not two, but three super important hardware announcements. The first of which, the long rumored 15-inch MacBook Air, has been unveiled by Apple, and it is a MacBook Air, but bigger. And that is all it is. Which Brett and I have been talking about this behind the scenes for quite some time. And would they do anything different? Would it have anything different to it? It does not. It is simply a MacBook Air with an M2 processor that is just larger. And here's Brett is being an awesome tech guy here and pulling that up for us. So what was awesome to see, though, was the price. The prior to today, the 13-inch M2 MacBook Air started at $1199, and for those of you that are able to access the education discount, $1099. Well, today they moved the price of that down to starting at $1099. That means, Brett Dean, we as educators we wouldn't do this, but we could buy the base model 13-inch M2 MacBook Air for $999, which
Holy
is that
moly!
magical price below $1,000. It's not really below $1,000, but they say it is.
Mm-hmm.
Which was another exciting thing. But the M2 MacBook Air, I did have that last year when it first launched. And if we did talk about that on the show. And the 15-inch looks like it's just carrying on, just bigger, perhaps a little more battery life, same M2 processor,
Mm-hmm.
probably better speakers, larger display, but same brightness level, same PPI, same liquid and wet retina display, same four colors, no difference there. Starlight, silver, space gray, midnight. I'm sorry, folks. Now, I did mention this on the show last year that the thing about the midnight option is, yes, if you are a person who does not like fingerprints on their device, it's not for you. If you don't care about that, then midnight is the choice and the only choice. Maybe space gray is the backup option, but
Mm-hmm.
when you're choosing on launch day, it doesn't matter. You can choose whichever one, so long as you choose one of the four or midnight. And we'll get to that in a moment. So yeah, I think it's
Moonspreads looks pretty nice, or whatever you want to call it.
Starlight. Thank you.
Starlight. Okay.
Yeah, man. Starlight.
Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight.
That's right.
Wish I may.
Look at all those stars. Wish you
I
might
might. Second
go
star
back and
right.
order Starlight tonight.
Warp.
Your iPad Mini is Starlight?
Yes. And it's a
Okay.
pretty good color. My wife has a watch in Starlight, and it's very nice. A car company, I think, would call that champagne or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nice color. But yeah, I went with the midnight.
But yeah, it's okay. So long story short, Brett did order the 15-inch model today. He will be, I believe, trading in your 13-inch M1 model.
I did. I got a clean 500 for it.
Okay, not bad, not bad.
Which
from Apple itself.
Yes.
Okay.
I used to be the kind of person that would eBay everything once I used it for a few years. I don't know if any of you out there still do that, like to eBay things. Perfectly logical situation and outcome, but what you're going to end up with is a better price. If you go with the Apple solution, it's just more elegant. They send you the box, you pack everything, you just send it right back. You don't have to worry about a terrible box or somebody complaining on the other side or trying to mess with you a little bit, as eBay buyers tend to do, at least in my experience. I'm sure
Mhm,
there's lots of
mhm.
great ones out there. um, but the Apple solution is really great, and you lose a little bit, but the frustration and the lack of stress is great. So, as many of you do with the phones, I'll just get a nice Apple box in a few days, pack up the old 13-inch and send it on its way. I mean, it's still pretty new, so I don't know what they do with them, the fairly new ones that they get back. What do you think they do with them, Don?
Send them to the refurb store, I would imagine, or
You think
send them
so?
off to some third party that would buy them
Hmm.
for reasonable price and then resell them, and then everybody still
Yeah.
makes money
Okay.
on the deal. Um, that's a great question. That would be really fun, like insider thing to do. So,
Yeah.
that's really cool. That's really funny because I have never, ever, ever once done the online trading. I always do it in store.
Okay.
But then again, you live a fair distance away from an Apple store,
Hmm.
so that's more of a
Yes.
thing for you. Whereas I'm like where I'm at now, I'm less than 10 minutes from an Apple store, so
Okay.
um, and that makes it easy. And so that's I'd be interested to hear how that works out. Hopefully, it works out great for you. So tell us the specs that you went with.
Let's see if we can sort of build one here. Obviously, the education pricing would be a little bit different, but I'll go ahead and kind of punch in what I got here. I didn't do anything super wacky. I went with, okay, so this guy right here. I went with, yeah, I think I just took the base model with 512 and upgraded it to 16.
You
I
left
think
the
that's
512 hard drive
I left the
storage.
512 hard drive.
Okay,
I've only used half of it on the 13-inch MacBook Air that I've got right
sure.
now.
Hmm.
And I didn't pay anywhere near to this, with with the discount. And plus, there's some kind of wacky sale thing going on too, where they instantly credited me an additional $150. Um,
For the did you buy it through the education store? I hope.
yes, let's see if I can recreate
Okay.
that same offer if I get in
I
there.
think you need to go.
Let's
Um,
see,
you got to
Mac.
go to the Apple Education Store. So if you scroll all the way down, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's see.
And I think like you do get a little bit of a discount on the RAM too. Yeah, so you get $20
Mm-hmm.
discount on the RAM, and then you get $20 discount on the storage as well. Which it's hey, take it.
There you
But
go.
then
There's the
also
special offer right there.
oh,
See?
yeah, okay, so you know what that is, that's the education thingy, the
Oh, okay,
summer
so they're spelling
yeah,
out the
that's
education. No, that's not the
yeah.
education discount per se. That's an
No, that's
additional
the
150.
whatever they call it for the summer thing, back to school thing,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, so that's a good deal. Um, you get the
It really
$150
is.
gift card.
Yeah,
I
so they took
did
that
that
150 to they knocked it down to
or
1429, um, essentially. And then I got another 500 off for that. I mean,
yeah.
that was pretty good.
That's pennies on the dollar, man.
Yeah.
If I was looking to get rid of this thing, then I would totally look at that. This is my old
Mm-hmm.
13-inch Pro that now belongs to that one over there. Um, But yeah, so that's a great deal, man. So yeah, I'll be curious to hear what you think of it. Of course, I'm still rocking my 14-inch M1 Pro, and loving it. And you still got your Mac Studio,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll get to in a second here. Um, but I'm very and I'm glad you went with Midnight. And I'm glad you didn't go 256 because the 256 has the single SSD model problem
Yes.
that the
So they
13.
held that problem over. Okay, I wasn't sure
Mhm,
about that,
mhm.
but
So you made the right choice. Got double the storage and double the speed on the SSD.
okay, good deal.
Um, so that's awesome. Um, yeah, so I was actually thinking about maybe, doing my thing, my normal test drive thingy. But right now I'm doing that with this M2 iPad Pro 11-inch.
Yeah.
And as you might remember, and of course you can see here. Here's my home screen for running the iPad OS 17 beta. Here's my home screen or my lock screen, and you can see the widgets are on the left hand side, um, and then here's my freeform board that I was talking about with the nice calligraphy pen.
Oh
Looks a
yeah.
lot better.
That looks nice.
Um,
Yeah, that looks real
it
good.
does. Um, so coming soon. Um, so the other two hardware announcements they did as we can see there, they updated the Mac Studio, which for a long time it seemed like that was maybe going to be a one-off device, but here we are. They've updated it now with the M2 Max and the M2 Ultra options. Um, don't necessarily think that it would be worth you upgrading your studio. I'm sure your studio is still rocking just fine.
Oh, it's in
Um,
great shape. Yeah, and it's like butter. Still, I mean, it's just fabulous.
yeah.
Probably the best
Uh,
Mac I've owned to date. I mean, really great.
and we'll have to see if your upcoming
Mm-hmm.
M2 Air is going to kind of slot its way into that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But here's an interesting thing. They also announced, pardon me,
Gesundheit.
first time I've sneezed on
Whoa.
air in a while. All right. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever
I'll mute
happened.
it next time. It probably has. Allergies are no fun. Anyway, do me a favor though. Go under Mac and let's look at the stats for the Mac Pro, please. So, in addition to this, they finally have completed the Apple Silicon transition, and here we get the Mac Pro transformed by Apple Silicon. And now, of course, they use that as an opportunity to charge an extra $1,000 for the base model. Okay.
Uh,
The Intel based version started at $59.99. Now we're starting at
Don, Don, I just want
$69.99.
to point out this car payment or slash mortgage payment that they've got right here,
If
just
that's
for
your
the
mortgage
base
payment,
model.
good on you.
No, no. But it's approaching like it's approaching rent. I mean, my God, I
Yeah,
mean it's woo. And I'm sure once you had a
that's
monitor and some decent specs on there, you would be getting into that range. That's
yeah, man. I
something.
mean, I mean, if you settled for the studio display like you and I are have in front of us, then yeah, you're talking, and then of course if you go for the Pro Display XDR, but of course the folks who are going to buy this thing can afford this thing, so hey, good on them. So, um the M2 Ultra up to 24 cores and up to 76 cores on the GPU side. Quite fast. Look at that. Support for up to 8 displays. 8. Because there are
Eight,
8
presumably
Thunderbolt 4 ports.
6K displays, right?
I guess. I would assume there's going to be some sort of breakdown.
Right?
of
Yeah,
that,
that's
up to 22 streams of 8K ProRes video. 22.
even if
That's
you were who does that? Like if even if you were like making a Pixar movie, would you need that? My God.
I I heck if I know, man. I mean, I don't know what that's like, um but
Yeah.
they do have PCIe slots built in. Apparently, you can upgrade the storage. Of course, you cannot upgrade the RAM, which was one of the big questions that was going to be with the Mac Studio is would you be able to upgrade the RAM? And so far as we can see, no, you're not allowed to. Um, but there are GPU options that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
You can do extra storage, Ethernet cards, other video cards, all sorts of things. So um, I would say that this is the I don't know like if anybody had that 2019 Intel Xeon based version, would they be able be pushing to upgrade this? I don't know.
I have
Unless it's
actually kind of used one.
have
And
you?
yeah, I saw it in person, not even in an Apple store. I saw it in person in a recording studio. And when I
Ooh.
saw it, my eyes lit up because I was like, oh my God, it's like one actually being used for what it was intended to do. And it was
Hmm.
powering this massive 4K wall projection of the mixing board up on uh, this huge screen in front of me, and it was really something. And
Wow.
the kind of music that we were recording was big band music. It was big band jazz. So there was like, I mean, we probably had like 36 channels plus going into that thing. And of course, handled it like a champ. I mean, honestly, I could probably I've run a mixing board into my absolute bare bones base model M1 MacBook Air and works fine.
Sure.
It's so the thing is, with this non-upgradable memory, I think one thing that we've learned with this integrated memory is that it's it's not something we should all worry about anymore, and it's kind of a liberating feeling because I think in the olden days when you had a PC or a computer of any kind, you kind of always worried, well, when's the next time I'm going to have to upgrade some RAM, or,
Hmm.
when's it going to start feeling slow? So that's what I'm going to have to do. Well, I think what they know, what Apple knows, is they ship these things is it's not going to start feeling slow until it's time to just upgrade the whole thing anyway. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's kind of just a moot point.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, the type of folks that are going to need to upgrade this for more than 192 gigs of unified memory, they know that, and they're going to be able to afford to do it whenever they, drop the M3 in it or whatever they're going to do. And of course, there's still the rumor out there that they're talking about the M2 or the Apple Silicon, like the quad version of the Max. So the Ultra's the duo version they're talking about.
Hmm.
There's still the
Hmm.
quad version out there.
It
So
might come. It might come.
I wouldn't be surprised if it
I was
came with
kind of half
M3.
expecting it. And some of the websites out there, the tech websites, have reported on the chip is massive. Like when you see it inside uh, the Mac Pro, it's a massive chip, but still, it's a massive casing too. So you
Hmm.
can still put a lot in that chassis, multiple chips. You
Hmm.
know, so
Yeah. So it can
we'll
do
have to
up to 8
see.
displays at 4K, 6 displays at 6K. So it can power 6 Pro Display XDRs. And it doesn't say anything about the studio display because
Yeah.
the studio display is 5K.
Hmm.
So
And you know
maybe
what?
7 of those.
they're going to sell like 13 of these things, but
No, they'll sell more than that, but
well,
it
you
will
know
still
what I
be their
mean?
lowest volume product. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
100%.
Because
I
no
see what you
one
mean.
needs this thing anymore. I mean, I used to buy Mac Pros. You know, there's no way I could
Mhm.
even afford it now. It's such a
Right.
high end product. So
And you don't need it.
nope.
There's
No,
enough,
no,
you
no.
know, Apple Silicon is I mean, I record my entire band on my Mac, my MacBook Pro, and we're
Yep.
running 20 channels, and then I'm
Hmm.
running effects on each channel and all sorts of things that doesn't even blink.
No.
Um, so yeah, so I mean, for the type of stuff we're doing, and sure, heavy video editors and 3D graphics folks and
Hmm.
all that, sure, cool, go for it, have fun. But it's just really cool to me. The only reason to bring it up is like, okay, we are officially in the Apple Silicon only world, and all the products that are for sale today are Apple Silicon only. Um,
I told you
so
I had a slight inkling, like a tingle of an inkling that they were going to release this today when the keynote started because they were ripping on Intel way
mhm,
more than
mhm.
they usually do. Did you pick up
Yeah.
on that too?
Yeah, a little bit. I remember you pointed that out in the chat while we were
Hmm.
going through it. Um, and yeah, it's I mean, for what it can do, it's insane.
Hmm.
Um, it's awesome in that sense. So, and I'm sure we're gonna see all sorts of videos of what folks are able to do with this when they get it in house and whatever.
There's some nice some of Apple's dubious graphs, but the point is well taken. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, it's crazy fast compared to even the most maxed out of the old Xeon ones. You know, so
Yeah, and of course the wheels. You can still get the wheels.
you can still get the
Enough. So.
wheels. It's a great design. I mean, I no one sort of frets over the design of the Mac Pro anymore because it's such a low volume product, but it's a great looking computer.
It is a work of art. Johnny I would be proud of, or probably was proud of this. This
Yeah.
is the same design, and there's a rack mount version now for an extra 500.
Oh,
So
jeez.
you know,
Yeah.
as if the base price wasn't enough. No, it's a rack mount, so we can charge more. Cool, great. The people that are gonna buy it can afford it, so good for them.
Mr. Don, I'm
Um,
going to put you on solo here for just a moment as I need to step out of the room for a second.
You go ahead.
There we go.
So then that's all we got for hardware today, and so we'll move over to the iOS portion of the keynote. And there are some really, really nice updates that they have brought. As I may have showed, I can't remember if this was in the pre-show or during the show, but right here, this is the standby mode that they announced today, and you can change these to different clocks and different calendar thingies over here. Can change. Oh, just saw where I was. That's okay. Um, so that's kind of like nightstand mode for the watch, but it has interactive widgets, um, which to me, that was the number one thing to me. I mean, there's some nice messages updates and some nice FaceTime updates. They even updated the phone app with a live voicemail capability. So somebody calls you, you're not sure you want to talk to them, you don't pick up, the phone answers, and it automatically live transcribes the voicemail right on your lock screen so you can see, and then you can decide, do I still want to answer the call or don't I? Really, really neat little piece of technology. Um, Another thing that they talked about, okay, this stood out to me as a crazy moment. One of the most annoying things about using messages or any text-based input on iOS is the autocorrect functions are not always super helpful, particularly when you'd like to use certain four-letter words. And Mr. Craig Federighi dropped a ducking reference in the keynote today. Um,
Keep it
for
classy,
those times
Craig.
that you just want to get it ducking right, um, and one thing that I had heard post keynote is that they are starting to use some of the large language models, aka Chat GTP, and some of those things to power some of the new autocorrect stuff in iOS and iPadOS.
Oh, okay. Talk a little bit about that. I missed that part.
So essentially, as I was telling the folks before you jump back in the chair, um, eh, there was some question coming in as to whether or not we would hear references to Chat GTP and other large language models, and they didn't really reference it in the keynote, but it came out later that some of the new autocorrect stuff it's they call it machine learning on devices. They've been using that term for quite a while, but that it is in fact powered by a version of a large language model like ChatGTP. So so they're claiming that autocorrect is going to be significantly better in iOS 17, iPadOS 17, and macOS 14, which we'll get to in a bit. I also showed the folks the nightstand, the standby mode here on my iPhone 14.
Baby steps. They've got to
Yeah,
use Chat GPT somehow. It's such a great model. It, have you heard about all the rigmarole they have to go through just to change basic Siri commands? Like they have to unravel this giant spool of basically the language model is very archaic compared to what they're using now, and they
sure.
basically have to disassemble it and put it all back together just to like change a word in Siri's knowledge bank. And so if they want to add things, it's a giant hassle and a giant process. There's no anticipatory learning on Siri's part. Like it can't figure things out on its own. They have to like prep it for all possible responses. So, they're doing all the work to make sure it works. Whereas it seems like Chat GPT can kind of figure things out on its own a little bit more.
Yeah, I think there's still a long way to go with all that stuff, and that doesn't surprise me because we're talking about more than 10 years of AI based learning that Siri has been doing, and yeah, I could see how that is a huge order of magnitude of work to do to get it to happen. But yeah, I think there's some really really neat stuff. Interactive widgets is the thing that I wrote down as like yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Funny you bring that up. Here, I want to show you something real quick. I recently got excited about this product and put it on my own desktop, and I will show it to you here. Fascinating television at the moment. Here, check this out. Okay, that's one of my screens right there.
Okay.
So this little app that I think people in the meantime should check out. It's called, oh golly, what is it called here? Let me find it for you. It's called, and basically it does what Apple demonstrated today, although a tiny bit less elegantly.
Yeah.
I am surprised they got it as good as they did, though. It is called, gosh, it's one of these set and forget things.
Basically, interactive widgets is what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's widget
Or
wall.
some okay. Widget wall. All right, cool.
Yeah, because I mean, I can use the calculator and things like that, and they made it look exactly like Apple's stuff. The design language, I mean, it can read my iCal stuff right here, which I probably shouldn't have out for everybody to see what we're doing.
Or your summer to-do list, yeah.
Yeah, summer to-do list with my zip code on it. That's cool, or the weather, the summer to-do list. Yeah, that's awesome. But basically, now that I've taken them all away, yeah. So you can sort of have this experience now if you get Widget Wall or one of these other apps. This is great.
Sure.
Haven't had a crash. It's kind of cheap, but they just got Sherlocked today.
Yeah, that's what we're learning, and So the fact that you're going to be able to run shortcuts from a widget, or yeah, I'll get to that in a second because the thing just tripped. Um, and be able to activate your home settings and turn lights on and off and
Mm-hmm.
unlock doors just by pressing the widget. Um, I'm sure there are going to be calculators, if not already started. They'll be, you'll be able to do an entire set of calculations in a widget. And what's cool that I liked a lot was that this also carries over to iPad OS and Mac OS. The ones from Mac OS and the iPhone can sync back and forth. So if you have a live
That's
widget,
awesome.
like just say
Yeah.
start your car from your Mac, it will send it to your phone, and then your phone will complete the action. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, so that's really, really cool that it does that. And so essentially you could so one of the things that I have going on is like, oh, excuse me, I kind of have like on this iPad, this 11-inch, I've got my home screen is essentially like uh, almost like a command center or a status board where I've got all of my things
Mm-hmm.
there um, on the main screen, so that I can just like um, quickly go in and see all of the things I would want to check right there. Um, so now I could go and I can check off reminders right from there. Um, or I could easily check the weather, and those things are going to live update more quickly. I can check off my to-do list once my to-do app is updated for Todoist is updated for iOS 17. So some really, really cool stuff. So there you go.
One thing I
And
couldn't get a
and
handle on is say you can see this picture. Can you see my mouse when you look at it like that? Um,
mhm,
Probably not. So I'm over where the guy with the yellow poncho is, over on that side.
mhm.
You see
Yeah, I
how
see.
that window is above the widgets? Are they just going
Right.
to sort of sit in the background where they'll
Yes.
be out of the way unless you click on them?
Yes, and they will transparently fade into the background as well.
Okay.
So yeah, so when you can see on the left there where it says access phone widgets on Mac, you can see that they are bright and colorful widgets just like on the phone, but they're you're editing a photo on the right there, and they will fade into the background
Hmm.
so as to di- distract you less from what you're trying to do.
Nice lucid air plug there today from
Yeah, right,
Craig
right.
and
Yeah, right.
and the team.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Throttle House review of the Lucid Air? My God, that thing is
Oh
so
yeah.
fast.
It's crazy. It's
I,
ridiculous.
I I
And
guarantee the whole executive team at Apple owns one of those. You know what I mean?
I'm sure a few of them do, and then I'm sure a few of
Yeah,
them own a Mercedes and
Teslas.
other,
Yeah,
yeah, old school, non-electric cars, like Steve
yeah.
Jobs would have.
Steve Jobs was a Mercedes
Because I
guy,
know,
wasn't he?
yeah, and Eddie Q's a big Ferrari guy or Lamborghini, one of the, or both. I'm not sure. Um,
Probably.
so in terms of iOS, the updates to messages is really nice. You've got some interactive screens. The apps and all that are kind of moved into a different menu so as not to affect typing as much, and kind of getting out of the way of that along with all the iMessage apps and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So that's a little bit of a cleaner interface. Um, and it gets
Don, this
the
is.
freeforms to, yeah,
I'm sorry.
this thing.
This is the part that cracked me up. I mean, you get excited during your Zoom meeting, you give the thumbs up, and all of a sudden you're farting balloons. I mean, it's incredible. What an age we live in.
Yeah,
I mean,
who doesn't
it's.
want that? Who doesn't want to fart balloons in their Zoom meeting?
I know. I mean, just watch this again. I mean, it's kind of like
It,
you're sitting in a hot tub, and the bubbles start coming up. You know what I mean? It's just like right there. She's so happy. She just farted some balloons right out there. Yep,
I mean,
that's
I
the
want
first thing.
confetti to virtually fall on me at any moment.
Yeah.
Folks, please do not install any betas on your primary devices. Please, just don't do it. Yes, I do it, but I also know how to downgrade myself. And no, as much as I want to do the watch betas, I will not be doing that. Probably. Stay tuned.
Definitely do not ever do it on your phone or your main phone, especially because that is
Yes,
a recipe for not
even though
ever
I did.
talking to your parents or family or friends again. You know, because it'll just brick the thing, and then you're going to be out $1,000 and really sad. So yeah, find a secondary iPad if you're lucky enough to have one, or a side computer that isn't your main one, and install it
Right,
on that.
right. Yeah, don't do what I did. Don't put it on your main phone. Don't do that. Um, but
So Don, are you under the impression that it's the camera API that's doing this stuff with the little guy in the bubble over here? Because
they
the app is Zoom. It's not an Apple app.
yeah,
So
they said there's an API for those sorts of things. I can't remember the specific name of it, but yes, there is machine learning and there is an API that apps like Zoom will obviously be taking advantage of. It was funny. It can do it in FaceTime, but it was really interesting how they like total nod to Zoom. Like, well,
mhm,
nobody does meetings on FaceTime. Everybody, except for Apple,
right.
everybody does them on Zoom
Right, right. And
or
I'm
WebEx.
I'm kind of, super sad that we didn't have this technology a few years ago during COVID. Not that I ever want to revisit any of
Hmm.
that again, but I'm also really glad that people that we talk to on the other side didn't have it,
Hmm.
because they'd be
Hmm.
just having fireworks and farting balloons all day. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm sure you can turn it off. You know, but yes, I'm sure the novelty would have been there for a minute, and people would be doing it a lot, and then over time, just like most things, it would fade into the background, like the
right.
widgets. Um, so there's some of the camera stuff, and that there is the continuity camera API that other apps can plug into, so that's really cool. That they
You're gonna look
demonstrated in
great on
FaceTime.
Zoom,
No, they did.
people. It's obviously so important to people, um, that they look amazing on video conferences, which is not something that ever occurred to me. I thought part of the charm of video conferencing with people was just looking like total ass, but apparently it's
Well,
really
that's
important that you look good in some careers, I guess.
oh yes, yes, not this silly thing that we do, but yes, the folks that have to do like businessy things. Yep, clearly.
Mhm.
And that's cool. Like, hey, you do you. You got to do what you got to do. Um,
Yeah.
so those are the only things that really stood out to me from iOS 17. The live voicemail thing I did explain. The check-ins little features kind of cool.
I
Um,
like the
and
check-in
just
feature. Okay, talk to me about that. How does that thing work?
Great question. Um, so essentially, you can let somebody know when you've arrived at a specific location, and they get an alert on their side, say, "Hey, this person, arrived there safely," and then it will also share information with that person. Let's say you don't they don't hear from you for a while. It will send an auto information back to them with your location, battery level, and cell service status of your phone. So that way they can follow up with you and oh
Whoa.
well, I this person's phone is in the middle of a lake. Help, call 911,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And I like how they definitely make sure to mention that any information is shared, that is shared is end-to-end encrypted. They really, really played that up
Right.
um, them this year. So if I were to sum up iOS 17, and it is just smaller quality of life improvements.
Mhm.
And so far, I've done very little with it on my phone to this point. Um, So I'm not noticing anything glaring. The journal app, which I am also kind of excited about, is not yet available. It will be coming later this year. So we
December
will
31st, mark your calendars.
uh, something like that. I would say probably October, November time frame.
Yeah.
For that one, probably 17.2 or 17.3 would be my guesses. Kind of like the Freeform app didn't come till 16.2. So, you know, um, and the stickers thing, that's cool. You know, people who are into that, my bandmates are super big into stickers and all that stuff.
What?
Um, yeah, yeah,
Really?
hmm
That's cool. I'm glad.
yeah.
Okay, I'm glad there's enthusiasm for this stuff because I feel like when Craig Federighi gets up there on stage and he's talking about, yeah, well, we got some new stickers and our artists are hard at work making great wallpaper. And look at now your Memoji can fart balloons during the old Zoom meeting. You know me, Don. I send you messages like during the keynote where I'm like, oh my God, like I hate this because
I do.
I God.
I was
The
there.
only time I use Memoji is just to piss off my wife. I mean, because I'll find the most like crazy like Memoji where he's going like, and I'll send that. And then I get back very sarcastic responses. Yeah.
Well, now you can create a sticker, Brett, that says "Get off my lawn," and you can use it as much as possible. And it's going to be okay.
Get off my lawn.
That's right.
Computers are
That's
meant
right.
to be called with a telephone and a modem.
So yeah, so the continuity camera thing with FaceTime on the Apple TV, that's kind of cool too.
That's kind of wild. Okay, here's my
Yeah.
thought on that. You ready for this? There is a new Apple TV / HomePod product coming in the future.
Here we go. You can get
Here
on
we go.
it, folks.
It's coming. It's coming. And this is their testing ground to see would people use a camera that's stuck in one of these things or not? Because doing a little market research behind the scenes are kind of like out in plain sight.
hmm
Like if we
Well,
stuck a camera in this thing and it sat on people's mantle or like their shelf thing with their TV on it, would there be a case for this? And so they're kind of testing it with this because they're like, well, we put continuity camera in everything now, so let's do it on this. And it's not a bad idea.
mm,
But then you got to walk over and put your phone someplace dumb. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. Do I
it's
want to
still
go?
better than the stupid camera built into these things we're looking at.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
Although
I
after
mean,
taking a few months off and noticing that it's not doing the weird crappy zoom in thing, it actually doesn't look so bad anymore.
oh, it's still
Oh,
bad.
it's
We
still
turned it
bad.
off though,
It's
didn't we?
true.
We
I
played
don't
with that.
know. It won't
We
even
did.
give me the option to do it anymore. But we've had a couple monitor firmware updates since then. So I wonder if something
Mm,
got tweaked because this looks a lot better.
could be. Could be. I didn't even realize. Um, and that's okay. But yeah, no, I agree. Like getting up and in the keynote demo, they show the girl getting up and putting the phone in front of the TV. And like for the once a year, I might use such a thing. Okay, fine, great.
Mhm.
But I think that is a product that's a thing that is just going to be like a very niche thing. And hey, that's fine.
Mhm.
But that's all I got on iOS. I don't know. Is there anything else on iOS that stood out to you?
I
The
don't
the share
know, but
the
is
share play
this?
stuff is cool, but
It
that's yeah.
is. Is this stand available?
I'm sure it is. I bet you it's a Belkin something or other.
Okay, I thought I saw an Apple logo on there. No, that's not an Apple
No,
logo.
no, 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 no.
It's a
There
little
is a logo.
arrow.
I do see what you mean, but I
Yeah.
don't. I'm gonna zoom in over here, um, and see if I can make heads or tails.
It's a
Yeah, there
nice
is a
thing.
logo. Oh, it's a 12 South
12
thing.
South.
It's a
They make
yes,
classy looking stuff. That's
they
good.
do. So yeah, so if you wanna go that direction, and when we were messaging before we started the show, like it would pop up on standby mode, and it was like there was
Mm.
your face all nice and big, like, and then it
Turn
would
to
like
iPhone.
yeah. So yeah, so like here's the standard lock screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
where's my camera here? So right, and then if I
Yep.
turn it
Yep.
like this and I just hold it that way for a moment,
Yep.
it'll go back to the thing eventually, maybe, probably. I don't know, maybe because I'm holding it, it won't. I don't know. But then, yeah, the first time you do it, it takes there. See, there you go.
Does it
And
need to
then
be a 14?
there are you could set up your photos too, but I don't have that set up. And then there are some different clock options, and then I haven't even really
I like
gone
it.
in
That's
to
pretty
play
wild.
with it.
Does it need to be a
Um,
14 or newer to be able to
uh,
do that?
no, I don't think it needs to be a 14, but the advantage of having the 14 is the always on display.
Mm-hmm.
It does need to be plugged in. So there's that, but I assume that any of
Okay,
the
so
iPhones
if I
have.
turn my 13 Pro Max sideways and set it on something or buy a cool stand from 12 South, it, is there a way to make it stay on all night? Is that gonna F my screen with burn in? What are we talking
It
about here?
might, it
Yeah.
might, yeah. I, because I I don't know if it's going to have the same brightness tweaks and all the same things um, that the 14 will have. But they definitely, there's more information to be found on that. There's no doubt about it. They are
Okay.
um, long way to go for that. So don't worry on that. Um,
This was a cool feature.
oh yeah, it was the collaborative playlists, and then the share play thing. Yeah, that is kind of cool. Like share
I love
playing
this. Yeah, because sometimes we're
from
driving
device to
somewhere.
device.
My
And
daughter
then
will often pop up and say, um, "Can I play the next song?" And she's got her iPad, and now she can just do this, right? I mean, she could just beam it right to, let's say, my iPhone is projecting on CarPlay at that moment, so her name will pop up here,
I'm
right?
guessing, yeah.
That's kind of wild. I dig it.
I'm guessing. Um, so it says there's something new for keyboards. Magic keyboard. Smart keyboard folio is back. Interesting. Okay, so I'm getting distracted here. But it said I clicked on iPad and it said something new for keyboards, but then it's not clear what's new. Um, but there are the Magic Keyboard Folio for the 10-inch iPad that my
Hmm.
kid has. The Smart Keyboard Folio, no trackpad, and then the Smart Keyboard, which will work with the old school 10.5-inch and smaller models. And still buy that thing. Look at that.
Hey Don, what'd you think of this? The airplane hotel rooms.
I'll never use it, but cool.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. Here's the thing: you're never gonna have free Wi-Fi in a hotel ever again.
Yeah, probably not.
You know what I
And
mean?
if you're going to be that hardcore, you'll just bring your Apple TV and just plug it
Right.
in. And then you'll figure out how to set up your own network or whatever. And yeah. Um, but yeah, so the adaptive audio thing, only of course for the AirPods Pro 2nd gen.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to try that. But as I have learned, that is an AirPods beta firmware that you need to install, that you cannot uninstall.
Mm.
So I'm not going to do it.
Nope.
Um, because I don't want to. These things are my dailies. Like if I had an extra pair of those kicking around, sure,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I accidentally tripped the SIRI thing because they dropped the hey from the other thing. So you just say the SIRI,
Yes.
and then my phone went off, and I'm like, mm-mm, no.
Next year's feature is Craig Federighi is going to say if you spell its name and say hey SIRI, then that's going to trigger it too, and then everybody's totally effed because there's no way you can't not say the name.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
the year after
Yeah.
that, Craig Federighi is going to come out on stage and he's going to say, now if you say hey Alexa or hey Google, oops, sorry out there everybody, now that's going to activate Siri too. Then the year
That
after
would
that, Don, he's going to come out on stage and say, if you say any proper noun
all
whatsoever,
right.
it's
All
going to
right, you
trigger it.
dial it down. You're getting weird over here. Dial it down, man. But yes, it is weird, and I can confirm it works.
Cool.
So there's that. Um, expanded lock. There's just we're moving on to iPad OS, and then we got to get to the Mac, and then we haven't even talked about the other thing.
Okay,
Which
so let's
we got
do
lots
this.
to
Here we
say.
go. Yes.
So we got for iPad OS, the biggest things that I wrote down were the widget. No, that's not the PDF collaboration. This also works on iOS as well, where you can just start to autofill PDFs directly on the iPad from the, I guess, the Mail app or however you would receive them, and then you can send them off through the Mail app real easily. Awesome, love that. Stage Manager improvements. Okay, so. Obviously, the other thing, the Vision Pro is all about being able to resize windows and move them all over the place. Stage Manager last year was, well, it's bad. So it is better. I can confirm, um, because I am running iPad OS 17 on here. So earlier, I had my freeform board open, and if I go and I pull up here and then I go into Stage Manager mode, I can, so here I can easily resize my Safari window to any size that I'd like. And then I
Oh,
can pull
that's
my
beautiful.
freeform window in, and then I can minimize. Oh no, how do I do that? So down here we can see I can pull that into there, and then I've got the thing over here, right? And I pull over here, and then I can, freely, easily resize my uh, windows to work side by side just fine. Of course, this would be easier on the 12.9 inch. Um, and it works great. I can also pull down and it will kick the dock out. And now
That's
here I have
awesome.
essentially two, full size. And this was one of the biggest things that
Yes.
was
What
a
is that
problem
called
before.
again?
I
They
bet
just
this is
they
Stage
give it a
Manager.
name? Stage Manager. Okay.
This is Stage Manager. So it's just freely resizing apps within Stage Manager. I bet. Let me see if this will work. If I can grab this. I want to be able to try to see if I can grab some. Yeah. No, it won't let me. Oh yeah, and then I can watch. I'm gonna drop it right into our free. Oh, didn't work. Okay. Um. So that was one of the biggest things, and then of course I plugged this into the studio display earlier. You can use the built-in camera or continuity camera on the iPad now, thus making it you through the studio display, thus making it more computer-like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, you can have certain windows pop up on the iPad screen itself, but also stay on others stay on the studio display. So it appears that they have addressed most of the major uh, issues from V1 of Stage Manager from last year. So that's cool. Um, what else can I say? So that to me is awesome. And the interactive widgets is cool. You've got the live activities on the lock screen now, which is great.
Yep.
Um, and then all the other stuff. The freeform tools, I was, showed you you can see the calligraphy thingy and the other things, the little things. And then working alongside your collaborators, maybe that's something we can do later. Um, So
This is really nice. This makes me happy. You know,
yeah,
as the resident Mackie, um, seeing resizable windows is a big thing for me. You know.
huge in order to make it more of a computer like device. So
Mhm.
desktop like device and desktop friendly. Um, so oh, I guess it's built-in camera. Well, whatever. You get the idea.
Mhm.
Um, and then spotlight stuff is better and hopefully more consistent. I haven't played with any of that yet. Um, so I mean, just a lot of nice things. The airdrop transfer thing. If
Mhm.
you step away, it will start to use the internet connection rather than the peer to peer. So just a lot of nice things. One
Yeah.
rumor was that there's going to be a new audio intense API where you can, essentially use an iPad to record a podcast and whatever, but that's not happening. Uh, they didn't announce that for iOS 17 or iPad OS 17. So fine, whatever. Um, and the personalization stuff comes over there too. So, it's a lot of smaller, nicer to have things. In terms of compatibility, um, iPads um, up to I think 2017 or 2018 are covered.
I
Um,
think iPhone 8 and X
the 10
slash
was
10
dropped.
is dropped. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So
So if you've
the
got an older
anything
iPhone, the we're up to the eights and the X's now. So
right, and the 10, yeah. So those are gone. The second gen iPad Pro, so not the first gens. The third gen iPad Air from a couple years ago, the sixth gen iPad, and the fifth gen iPad Mini. So not the current sixth gen, but the previous.
mhm.
So
All you
um,
Android users out there, think about this for a second, okay? Just think about it. I mean, we've all dabbled on each of the OSs, you know. But think about your upgrade life. When you want the newest thing or you want some kind of massive, you know, system overhaul, you're going to get it 2 years from now. You're going to have to wait so long because not only does Google have to release it, but then your hardware vendor has to approve it and make their own tweaks to it. Um, I couldn't imagine working that way, Don. To be honest with you, you
I
know,
I don't I
uh,
yeah I
I'm
don't
just an
blame you, man.
Apple snob, but it's the way it is.
Somebody's got to be.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so let's move on to Mac OS Sierra. Now, I was convinced that because of something they dropped in the iPhone keynote, the iPhone portion, that they were going to go ahead and go to calling it Mammoth, but they did not. It is Mac OS Sonoma.
What was the
Okay,
clue that you picked up on?
they had like a photo uh, uh, album in the back and a screen that said Mammoth. So I was like,
Hmm.
oh, that's got to be it. But no, they tricked me,
And
or I let them
and
trick
then
me.
did you think when they mentioned wine, did you think they're going to call it macOS Napa?
No, no, I did
Okay.
not. I did not catch that part. But I mean, Sonoma. I mean, everybody thinks Napa, so why not call it Sonoma? Um, the new lock screen there. Talk about iOS. There it is, right there for you. Um, and some of the live
Yep.
wallpaper stuff. You can do that on iPad OS as well. Cool. All right, great. This is very iOS for the Mac.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Really is.
It's
The
okay.
widgets, cool. Like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Good. I'm great with that. Give
Me
me the
too.
widgets. Surprised
Very
they
happy
didn't
about the
bring back
widgets.
dashboard.
They
Um,
basically brought back what people wanted dashboard to be. Not a separate screen,
right.
but built into the
But there it is,
desktop
right in
essentially.
front of you and easy. Yeah, exactly. Um,
Yeah, and we
so
talked about some of
yeah,
this.
I mean, the video conferencing, it's just, all the same stuff. There's nothing really new on the Mac other than this PDF thing, which you can also do in iPad OS. Started notes and finishes and pages, like that's kind of cool. The gaming stuff, game mode. Okay, so that's the new thing for Mac. Game mode
Yes.
prioritizes the game on the CPU, GPU, and lowers all the background tasks so that way it can really get the maximum performances going on the Mac for the games. And they are clearly courting more and more PC and console developers to bring their games over. There are some new tools for making it easier to port their games to Mac. Of
This is
course,
cool to see. This
Microsoft
is
won't
really
do
cool
that.
to see.
Yeah.
Because
So
that's one way to really prove to the world that your beefy hardware is as beefy as you say it is,
100%. 100%. One thing that's very small, but this is across all the systems, reminders can now sort grocery lists into different categories, and there's different column views and stuff. Just little nice tweaks just to make everything easier. I didn't catch that, but I'm excited about that.
That's good.
And compatible devices, any iMac from 2019 or later, the one iMac Pro, MacBook Airs from 2018 and later, MacBook Pros from 2018 and later, the 2019 Mac Pro, the Mac Studio, and the Mac Mini from 2018 and later. So pretty well compatible with a lot of things. The screen sharing thing kind of might be fun to play with too. All right, we got to get to the watch because I'm excited about the watch, and then we got to get to the other thing. Then we got to get to the face thing.
All right,
So
I'm gonna let you take over fully. I've just been commenting as we go, but because you're the more organized one. However, the watch is your zone, so away you go, sir.
yeah, it's my bag. So pull up really quickly up at the top. You'll see the WatchOS preview. So here we can see the apps are finally taking full advantage of the screen. And then for those of us who are Apple Watch Ultra users like myself, to have, but even on the Series 8 watches, you have a Series 8, and my lady friend also has a Series 8, and to have those 45 millimeter screens being taken full advantage of is kind of nice. We see there Snoopy is now making an appearance, because this is WatchOS 10. So it's just a more widget-like interface is the main thing. So the interactivity of the widgets that we saw on Mac, iPhone, and iPad are now moving over here. If you keep scrolling a little bit more,
1 second,
we
I want to
will
check
be
the
able
date.
to.
Do you have a feeling this might be released on October 9th? I think that's a clue.
That would be late. That would be late to me.
Yeah, they did. Okay, did they say this fall or this summer? I can't remember.
This fall.
Okay.
Everything is this fall. So I would say September. But it'll also be dependent on how good the betas are. So there we can see that using the full screen and the widget system, you in any app you can start swiping up from the bottom, and you can start accessing a set of smart widgets that you can then a smart stack of widgets that you can then order, and they will smartly order themselves based on whatever new information comes along. And so I definitely think for navigation purposes and for information purposes, I think that'll be great and easy. So keep scrolling down. So there you see on the left there, the turn the digital crown. We can start scrolling through the smart stack of widgets. And then activating Control Center. When you're in an app, you can press the side button, and then you can access Control Center, which I think is great. You in WatchOS 9, you have to close the app and then go to your watch face and then swipe up. This will be much nicer accessing Control Center. I was expecting a Control Center redesign on all the platforms, and we didn't get that. But
yeah, same.
That's okay. For me, I'm excited about what you have right here, the cycling stuff, because I've my bike has just been sitting in the garage for years, and I'm like, you know what? I need to break that thing out. And one of the things that WatchOS has not been able to do until WatchOS 10 is connect to Bluetooth devices that you can attach to your bike so you can track more metrics more easily. Now it can. Um, so that's great. And if you scroll down just a little bit, the power zones is great for those of you that are tracking that high performance. But here, your metrics optimized for iPhone for those that have an iPhone mount on your bike. Instead of having to look at your wrist to find your data, it will turn your phone into your Apple Watch there, and you can see all of your important data on your ride, which I think is awesome. So will I be doing that this year? Yeah, I probably will. Because I like cycling and it's way healthier for me than running. So great. Hiking wise, Compass app will have these new views. There's information on trails whenever that comes to your area. Topographic maps, as you scroll down there, you see
This is a
kind of
really nice interface, this Compass app. I like the way they did
right.
that.
Yeah, that's going to really, really be cool. Offline maps. So not only you'll be able to get this data offline if you don't have a cell signal, then you'll have that. You get alerts when you've passed a specific elevation that you might be looking. So good stuff. Like this was a hole when the Ultra came out. These were missing things, and now they're starting to fill in those gaps. The mental health stuff, cool. The myopia stuff, if you keep scrolling down. I don't know what else to say about all that. Vision health. So here we go. Myopia, nearsightedness, so they've got some stuff built in that you can track the amount of time spent outside with your kid's Apple Watch. So that's kind of nice. And there's some new Fitness Plus stuff where you can create smart stacks of workouts and stuff like that. Setting a custom plan, which is awesome. And there are even more custom workout options in the iPhone, in the Workouts app. You can do back-to-back workouts. Still no rest days, though. Still, you lose your streaks, you lose your streaks. There should be an option for rest days, but whatever. Also, follow-up medication reminders. Really helpful, too. I think that's really cool.
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic.
Right. I
As a
get
person
the
who forgets
notification.
to take what I need to take. Yeah, this is great.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of nice things that are there. Plus you can add your Apple Watch to the MDMs that you can do on your other devices. So you can that's like I don't know why you'd want to do that, but hey, cool. And it does not, the rumors I was going to drop support for the Series 4, which I have but no longer have. But no, keeping this all the way through the Series 4 and the first SE. So awesome. Not all features, of course, are available, but you'll get those security updates and a lot of that good stuff in there. So that's WatchOS. I'm excited to try that. Because I just think that the Apple Watch has needed a new way to take advantage of the larger screens and just navigate through the system. And
I think
here
it's
we are.
great. I think it's great. I don't think I'll use all this stuff, but I think the interface got a huge boost.
100%. Don't install WatchOS betas, please, folks, because if it goes wrong, you literally have to go to an Apple store or send your watch to Apple.
Yeah.
You cannot roll back that stuff. So be very aware of that. Okay. Here we go. Apple Vision Pro. This is the thing, the headset that has been rumored for years, and here we are. It takes so much of where we've seen iOS going for the last few years and puts it on your face. The tech in here, yes. So, what was this from again?
This was from an episode of Star Trek in 1965. It was the first episode. And really, they got the design. Star Trek gets a lot of credit for inventing things before The real world did. Like the communicator was the flip phone. They had iPads in the 1980s, basically these little sheets of plastic with interactive screens that were all touch based. And here, I guess, just like The Simpsons predict everything, so does science fiction. So here's the Vision Pro, a little early,
This is a few years
1965. Don,
before.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's uh, if- let's start off with this. Both Brett and I acknowledge this device is not for us. And for
No,
me, I don't want to be removed from reality any more than I already am.
I'm with
So
you
we're both
100%.
going to kind of be the get off my lawn guys when it comes to this thing. But I will say this, the technology that they are packing into this thing
Yeah.
is unreal. They are taking things to another three
Hmm.
levels. Okay. In terms of dual 4K micro OLED displays built in,
That's
a
the big one.
curved motherboard, 12 cameras, 6 microphones, and a partridge in a freaking pear tree. I, it's unreal what they're doing. It is powered by M2 with an R1 coprocessor that are working together to handle everything. You've got the digital crown on the top that you can dial in how much of the real world you want to see or get blurred out. You can take photos or videos instantly with a tap of essentially a Apple Watch side button on the left hand side. I, it it can be controlled with a magic keyboard or a magic trackpad or your hands, because there are cameras watching your hands, and assumingly it will also use the sensors built into your Apple Watch that is on your wrist already. That outward facing display will show your eyes. It moves by tracking your eyes. Apps cannot access that data in terms of tracking it, but it can be controlled entirely with your hands and your eyes and your voice. It is powered by, you see the cable there on the side, on the left hand side. It was an Apple Watch like connector right here, but plugs into the left side. And they chose to move the battery pack off of the device in order to make it more comfortable. But it only has 2 hours of battery life. So assumingly there will be some sort of pass-through charging option, because one of the things they really heavily pushed is 2D and 3D shows and movies, and you'll be able to watch those through the Apple TV Plus app and Disney Plus. We brought Bob Iger on stage to talk about how Disney Plus is going to be one of their major partners. And yeah, right. Okay, here we go. Uh, this is whether this thing succeeds or not, the tech involved to make this work. You don't need gloves. You need this device and only this device. You can
Do you
have
remember
it
the scene
instead of yeah. Yeah, I do.
in Jurassic Park? I
Um,
thought of this thing instantly. Yeah.
yeah. And the fact that he needs gloves to do it, but not with Reality Pro. Or sorry,
Yeah.
Vision Pro. Everybody thought it was gonna be called Reality Pro, but it's not. It's Vision Pro. So whoopsie. Um it's unbelievable, and I've read some short write-ups from some of the media folks who were there, and were able to
Hmm.
try this thing, and apparently it even blew them away. Um, so the long story short of this thing is a $3,400 starting price and won't be available until 2024. This is not a mainstream product. It is not trying to be. This is a product that is meant. They created the term spatial computing. I've not heard that term before. Maybe it's been out there. but they use that term 1,000 times in this keynote because they are trying to put this set the market for this whole other product the same way that the iPad did, or the iPhone did, or the Apple Watch moved an entire product category forward. I don't want one. You don't want one.
I don't want one. Can I talk about why I don't want one?
Yes,
Can
let
I
me
be the
finish my
negative
statement.
Nancy? Okay.
No, you should. But the only reason I'm excited about this thing is for what it will do for the iPad, the iPhone, the watch, the Mac. That's all. That's all that I care. If Apple now starts making even better displays to put in our devices or better software that filters down, cool, great, bring it. Your floor, man.
Totally with you on all that stuff. I'm totally with you on the fact that it's revolutionary and that's no joke. Like this is a big deal. It's a big deal that you're going to be able to see what you're able to see here with these and the advancement in displays. Look, my gut reaction to this thing is I hate it because for me personally, I get motion sick extremely easily. Okay.
Okay. Right.
If I'm in a car and I'm not looking out straight ahead out of the window, I'm having a bad time.
Okay.
Video games that have a lot of first person motion in them make me sick, and I can only play them for a little bit. When I have tried Oculus and things similar to this, or the concept similar to this, I have gotten motion sick with a really horrible headache very quickly. So my concern, of course, is that this will do the same thing.
Sure.
I do think part of it is things that feel very close that are moving are what cause that. Okay. Now,
Okay. Uh-huh.
part of that is a problem on those other products that I mentioned because of the bad displays. Okay. Um, it, as good as the hardware probably was up until today, other headsets don't have the resolution that can match this. Okay. They don't have the, I don't know, what did they call the resolution here? It's like, it's not
4K.
quantum dot. What do they call it?
It's 4K, two 4K displays. Micro OLED is the
micro OLED, right?
tech.
So pixels within pixels, right? So I think because of some of that, I think people with motion sickness issues are have a fighting chance with this thing. You know what I mean? Unless your body knows that the thing that you're looking at is really close to you. Okay. When
Right.
you see this girl looking at this Los Angeles Times article and this floating Apple TV screen, if that feels like it's really close or your body perceives that it is really close, you're going to get that motion sickness that I was talking about. Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But if the resolution of the display is able to trick your eyes and your brain into thinking that it's up on the wall or farther away, then there's a chance that maybe the motion sickness that I'm worried about is not going to be a thing. Okay. My other issue with it is it's a personal device. Okay. This is not going to be floating out there for everybody else in your family to see. We've got so many pieces of technology that disconnect us. What we're doing is we're taking the few things that are left that are sort of communal and again isolating people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's like you know what? I'd love to see a movie hover over my coffee table. That'd be really cool. But I want my whole family to see that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know
Right.
how that would happen. I guess a hologram, right? But you know, I don't want it's like a phone that you can't look away from, right? Can I
Right.
also point out the incongruity between their statement earlier that we want to get phones away from kids' faces, like at a certain distance, and we're even going to make this app that measures the distance your kid's face is away because it's not healthy to be that close. And by the way, here's this really high res phone that you strap to your face. Do you know
Right.
what I mean? Like that doesn't
Let's
seem like
strap the
that
phone to
jives.
the face.
Right. So what's up
Yeah.
with that? I don't understand that. Those are my main concerns. I have superficial concerns like you look like a dork. I don't want anything heavy on my head. But those are minor in comparison. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Right. This, yeah. I- You're man, you're nailing it with all that, and thank you for revealing all the motion sick stuff because I know it's different for
Hmm.
everybody, and I didn't realize that it was so strong for you. So,
Hmm.
and I don't
I've
blame you
tried
for
heads
feeling
up
that way.
displays in cars, which look really cool too.
Uh-huh.
You know, like where you can like have your turn by turn in front of you and all this. And I can't do those. I wish I could, but I can't even
Okay.
have that kind of stuff up in front of me. I have to like turn it off, or if I'm in somebody else's car, I can't look at it.
Right.
Because yeah, I need to see things that are far away. If it's close and it's moving fast, then I'm out. I can't do it.
Right. And that and I know that there was some I've seen some discussion about some of that stuff, and some people are absolutely going to be left out of this thing, and not
Hmm.
even just the cost, but like you're saying, the but again, this is not meant to be um an everybody thing. This is a Gen 1 product that is their vision of the future of
Hmm.
working, and entertainment. And yeah, it is very isolating, and the there was so many cringe moments in this portion where, you know,
Yeah.
how making it normalizing ignoring your kids or ignoring the people in the room
Yes.
in front of you,
Yes.
and all that stuff.
Right.
I agree. And yeah, they have clever approaches to it, but when it's strapped to your face, like I have a hard enough time like wanting, needing to pull my AirPods out frequently, um to be more connected to what's going on around me. And then yeah, you don't have that here. You have that fivefold. Um So yeah, and then there's the creepy factor of the eye camera, and you can see your eyes through the screen. Like
That is super creepy. Let's
this
go look at
is
that initial
right.
picture.
Yeah, right.
That's frightening. She looks like a very lovely, charming person, but just the fact that her eyes are displayed there and my brain can already tell like uncanny valley that it's not really her, that's freaky as hell.
Right. No, right. It's like it is. There are cameras on her eyes, so you're seeing her actual face there, and it does track those
Hmm.
movements. But it is still. It is a. You're right. There's a messaging. There are several messaging issues that Apple needs to address compared to, like you're saying, with being
Right.
outside more and healthier screen
Right.
time, and
Yeah.
all this mental health stuff and the physical
Look at
health stuff. They
look
demonstrated
at that
nothing
preview
about
right there.
fitness.
Hmm.
Right.
Look at this preview
Like they
right here.
they
It's one woman sitting alone
right.
watching a
And
movie.
if you live alone, sure, great, awesome.
Yeah.
But they don't have multiple profiles like iPad or iPhone, but instead of
Hmm.
it being, a $500 or $1,000 device, we're talking about a $3,500 starting price. It, it's
Right. So you're not buying four of these so everybody in your family can experience it too, you know?
right,
Um,
right. It's it. Sharing is caring. We all know this, but this is another level. This is on another level.
Yeah. That
Um,
said, seeing this aspect of it and thinking about the Disney stuff and seeing this little sports blurb right there, um, feeling like you're at a sporting event would be really cool. Like, imagine if, like, you could just kind of like look off to your left a little bit and see a little bit of the stadium or something like that, you know?
mhm,
Or I'm
yeah.
imagining like what if the Guardians of the Galaxy movie was shot in such a way that like you could kind of look to your right and see stuff that wasn't necessarily part of the story, you know?
Mhm.
And that was just
Yeah.
like the world that you were in. That'd be awesome. Like that'd be a
Yeah.
great use of it, you know?
Yeah,
They'll
like
get there.
walking into the Star Wars cantina and then, you look into the left and you're seeing, there's these people chit-chatting over on the side and you can like
Yeah.
focus on their
Right.
conversation like it. Yeah. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a lot of cool stuff that can
Mhm.
be done
Mhm.
with this thing and clearly um, what they're trying to do is set the market. Okay, the MetaQuest 2 and the MetaQuest Pro, and now the MetaQuest 3 is coming, and the PlayStation VR and all these other things. They mention nothing about games with this. They mention nothing about fitness. They mentioned productivity and entertainment in terms of videos and TV shows. That's it.
Mhm.
So there's a whole lot of other areas that this thing they will need to address. And certainly the learning curve of like, okay, are we really going to normalize ignoring your kids to be in your virtual AR super land or whatever it is? Like,
Mhm.
okay, if that's what we're doing, but that's what's already happening. And I do think they need to address that as they start to people start to talk about this product and as they start to talk about it themselves
Mhm.
because we've got a long time before it's going to come out to anybody
Yeah.
um, and I'm
This
hopeful that they
this
do.
just looks sad. I mean,
It kind of does.
right? There's a guy sitting on a couch looking at a video of some kids, you know? It's kinda like, I don't know,
And they were in
go
the
to a
video. It's like, yeah, these are your kids. Well, why don't you
yeah,
just
it's
go look at your kids? They're over
right,
there.
or
Like,
and if you don't have any, then go to a park and, like, see some actual people, you know what I mean?
right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. Um, and yeah, I just hope that as they refine this product, the version 2, and of course this is called the Vision Pro,
Mhm.
so that it seems to indicate there will be a Vision or a Vision Air
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
other versions of this product that maybe don't have the same amount of tech in it, but you
Mhm.
can have bits and pieces of it. It's great. Like, think about if the first Mac that they ever released was the Mac Pro, and
Right.
then they started to work their way. This is what they've done here, and
Yeah.
they pulled out all the stops here.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
So, and Tim Cook has been horny for this for years because he needed
Yes, he
that
has.
product. He
That's a
needed to define his time at Apple, and this is it.
right. Yep,
And
this
and
got
and
him to the place he wanted to be. This is the point where he could, like, retire tomorrow and feel happy, you know? Clearly.
right, yeah, this is like okay, I have made my mark in the same way that everybody associates Steve Jobs with Apple, and you want to
Right.
go make fizzy water or come change the world. Okay, well, here's Tim Cook saying, okay, time for me to change the world. um and it really is. My lady and I were just like, okay, so we're gonna totally go and make appointments at the Apple store to go try it, right? Yeah, of course we're gonna do that. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna do that to see what it's like. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't have the motion sickness stuff. I don't have any of that,
Uh-huh.
but I also don't have any. I've no interest in owning this product, and just a baseline curiosity of to try it. Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, this is cool. All
Right.
right, great. Okay, now let's go here. Give me my phone and my iPad, and I'll go back to my Mac.
Right. To what extent do you wear contacts, Don, at all?
The what?
Do you wear contacts?
I do not. I do not wear
Okay.
eyewear of any kind, other than
Okay, I don't
sunglasses
either.
that are.
So I'm trying to like downscale Vision Pro into something like just Vision. Um, what would that even be? I mean, could they get this someday down to a pair of glasses, like 10 years from now? You know?
Yeah, I would say that that's the long-term goal, is that you're not
Okay.
wearing this giant contraption.
As somebody who doesn't wear glasses, uh, what do I get out of that? You know what I mean? As somebody who doesn't want to put a contact lens on his eye retina unless I absolutely have to, like what's in it for me? You know?
Right.
Um
Good point.
you know, because I'm thinking like, okay, if I had a pair of glasses that maybe just popped up with like an iMessage alert or something like that, would that be kind of cool? Yeah, but I don't need
Sure.
glasses,
Right.
you know. And
So
if
what
yeah,
and so yeah, so I don't. You're asking a great question. Well, where's the value in this type of thing for me? Like, why can't I just look at my watch or look at my phone or my Mac in front of me?
right,
Yeah. Why can't you? And that is to say, if the other products start to suffer because of this thing,
uh-huh,
yeah, then it's time to start ringing the alarm bells. Just the same way as with the Mac. It's like the Mac was languishing for a long time, and now the Mac is
yes,
back.
because Tim Cook was horny for the iPad for a long time, so
Right. And others were too. And
yeah,
the iPad should be the future of computing on the desktop. But this is a long way ahead of that. Or this is the everybody computer, right? That's what this is. I just need to
hmm
check my email. I want to read some
right,
articles.
yes,
That kind of stuff. Then the Mac, I want to make things. I want to make really big things. Okay, cool.
hmm I need to
Then this
multitask,
thing, I
like
just
yeah,
Mhm. And then this is just a whole other ball game.
yeah.
Um, so like sure, would something like this be cool if you were on a flight by yourself for 10, 12 hours? Yeah, hell yeah. Great. Put in
Yes,
your
you just
AirPods,
sold me
put this
on the
thing
one
on.
place. You just sold me on the one place this would be great is on an airplane.
Right, right.
Absolutely.
And they mentioned that. They
This
if
is
I
all
remember,
that's
they
the
did
only thing
talk.
I can think of at this point. Because at home, I could never even get close to using this because I already feel isolated from my family when I come to work on my Mac, you know?
Right.
Or look at my phone. I still feel isolated from them, you know, to the point
Hmm.
where like many families at dinner, we just don't have any devices. You know what I mean? Like we're just like
Yeah.
just put them away for 25, 30 minutes, you know? Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah. I don't blame you.
something more isolating. I don't know how healthy it is. I don't. Mental health. I don't know how
No,
healthy this is.
I agree. And that is they are gonna have to answer those questions, and they're gonna have to do it before, as far as I'm concerned, they need to start doing it tomorrow. But
Hmm.
certainly, as they start going on TV shows and demonstrating the stuff, they need to
Hmm.
not only build it in from the software side, but also from the messaging side. There's a lot of work to be done there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
um, but I'm excited. Micro OLED, if micro OLED displays start coming to the iPad and to the iPhone and to the Apple Watch
Hmm.
and to yeah, sign me up. Like, yes, great.
Right.
I always want my in the studio display or whatever the next, like, great, fantastic, and better spatial audio and better HDR10 and all that's great, awesome. Bring it on. I want all of it, but I don't need it, on my face all the time. So we encourage you all to learn more about it. We'll be talking about it more as we go along, and along with all these things, and just seeing how do these new OSs better integrate into our lives, and how can we have more fun with them too. So I think that's a good place to put a pause for the evening, wouldn't you say?
I agree, especially since it's almost tomorrow.
It is almost tomorrow. Oh my gosh, it is. So we were going to do a short show, but we
It
haven't
never
done
happens.
101,
No, that's
and
impossible.
there's so much good stuff here.
Yeah.
So we will let y'all know when we're going to record next. It is summertime for us. We have approximately 10 more weeks remaining. Not that I'm counting.
Please don't. No, please don't.
But we'll update you all on the Facebook page when we're recording next and what sort of stuff we're going to be talking about. But I definitely we will have more impressions. Brett will have impressions of his new 15-inch Air that comes in next week, and I will certainly have more impressions of the beta software pieces and so much more. So I want to thank you all for tuning in this evening, and certainly follow us on the Facebook page, and hopefully more to come in that department, and a fun nerdy summer, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There's still a lot of year left, so still a lot of potential for new products even after today.
Yeah, man.
All right, have a good one, bud.
Coming. Yeah, you too, man. Good to see you. Good to thank you all for tuning in. We'll talk to you real soon. Take care, everybody.